And good afternoon, 4 o'clock on your Friday. Look what's behind us.
Isn't that pretty?
Snow. Yeah. As we're welcoming you to the weekend, we're also talking about snow, welcoming you to the weekend as well. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tom Green.
And I'm Kim Christensen. It's kind of pretty when they just fall.
Not bad. You
Bad.
don't have to shovel that.
Right now, we're going to take a live look outside in Boulder. Right now, it's snowing there. There
Pretty
you
good.
go. Oh, look at those big. They look like the flakes behind us, the big fluffy kind. Okay, we're in for a spring storm. It's going to last through the night.
Not snowing in Denver just yet, but you see the tarp on the field at Coors Field. The Rockies have already postponed the game against the Mariners scheduled for tonight. They'll be making that game up with a day-night doubleheader on Sunday afternoon. Kathy's been telling us about this weather coming our way. It's a matter of where you are, though, Kathy, as to what you're going to see.
That's exactly right. And Tom, you and I were ready for that Rockies game wearing our purple in support of our team. They need our support.
We were.
Yeah, we were. I know. Maybe it's okay that it got postponed tonight. Just give them another night to rest and go out there and really get it tomorrow. Okay, we are talking about a storm system crossing Colorado tonight. The rain and snow starting to fill in. We have a cold night and a chilly Saturday with several inches of snow expected in Denver and a winter weather advisory out for the mountains and Front Range foothills. Evening drive underway with a low cloud ceiling. Again, a little freezing drizzle, some rain that will flip to snow here in the next few hours. So far, travel on I-70 looking pretty good, but it was cold again today. 40 at DIA, 45 downtown, and those temperatures are falling. We're holding in the mid-30s this hour, and the snow is starting to fill in west of I-25 down to Castle Rock and Colorado Springs out toward the DIA area. The advisories for snow cover the Front Range foothills and mountains for 4 to 10 inches between now and 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. For Denver, the rain showers during the evening drive will flip over to snow. We'll get some bands of heavier snow overnight tonight. Ooh, there's one there. And that means several inches of snow in a big hurry. It won't last long. It's not going to snow and be cold for the whole entire weekend. We'll break down the weekend forecast in detail coming up.
All right, Kathy, thanks. The opening statements will begin on Monday in the trial of former President Trump in New York. Today, 6 alternate jurors were added. The full jury of 12 was seated yesterday. And also in court today, arguments regarding any cross-examination if Trump decides to testify. Now, on his way out of the courtroom, he told reporters that he does plan to take the stand. That may depend on if prosecutors are allowed to question the former president about past legal issues like the $355 million civil fraud judgment and the E. Jean Carroll defamation case. The judge said he'll be making a ruling as far as those topics on Monday. And while jury selection was going on inside, a very scary situation played out outside of the courthouse. Police say a man from Florida threw some pamphlets around and then poured an accelerant over his body and lit himself on fire. Firefighters nearby extinguished the flames. The man was taken to the hospital in critical condition. 3 police officers and 1 court officer also have minor injuries.
A former DU basketball player who drove drunk and hit and killed a mother will spend the next 6 years in prison. Corbin Porter walked out of the courtroom in handcuffs this morning. It
was an emotional morning in Denver courtroom 5B with testimony from the victim's family as well as Corbin Porter's family, and that includes his brother, Denver Nugget Michael Porter Jr. 9 News reporter Steve Steger was in that courtroom. Steve, both sides did seem to agree that Corbin Porter is a good guy who made a terrible decision.
Yeah, the judge in this case says it's one of the first times she remembers any defendant getting 55 letters sent to the court to confirm his character. Corbin Porter says this incident has forever changed him and vowed to take his message to others to try to save lives. But that will have to wait as he serves a sentence in the Colorado Department of Corrections.
Katharina was a vibrant, beautiful woman, mother and wife. She completely lit up any room she entered.
Katharina Rothman had so much of her life ahead of her.
She was thriving as a mother, wife, and daughter.
All of that vanished the night of January 22nd, 2023.
And her life was tragically taken from a collision caused by a man who should have listened to what his parents probably told him long ago. Never to get behind the wheel of a vehicle when you have been drinking.
There was no debate in courtroom 5B about the character of Corbin Porter, the man behind the wheel.
I do not wish hate upon Mr. Porter. He is a young man with a bright future ahead of him who made a selfish and reckless choice.
I can attest that his character is consistent in all parts of his life.
A kind, wise, humble, and tender and generous young man.
even for his 6'10" brother Michael.
He was the one that I looked up to, even though I'm the oldest brother.
What brought him here Friday morning? His actions, his decisions on that January night, when prosecutors say Porter's blood alcohol level was more than twice the legal limit, when he ran a red light and crashed into Katharina's car, killing her and injuring her passenger.
Your Honor, the terrible irony here is that we don't have to look outside of the facts of this case to know what he should have done that evening. Rothman was driving an Uber, and she was taking someone home who did the responsible thing.
It's clear Coben Porter feels remorse.
All I can really say is that I'm sorry. I know that I'm never going to be able to right that wrong. But I hope that somehow, some way, I'll be able to make a difference for people who were like me.
But remorse can't bring Katharina back.
On count one, I'm going to sentence you to 6 years in the Department of Corrections.
Her family says a judge's decision won't either, but at least it gives them some relief.
I think we feel peace now. I think we're feeling peacefulness now.
Coben Porter was sentenced to 2 years for injuring that passenger, but that sentence will run concurrently with the 6 years he'll serve for Katharina's death. In the studio, Steve Steger, 9 News.
Steve, we see these stories all the time when they play out in court where everyone is so damaged by one reckless decision.
Yeah, it was striking, the emotion inside the courtroom and the acknowledgement from all parties inside the courtroom that it's not that he's a bad guy who intended to do a bad thing, but he made a terrible decision that night that had consequences.
An irrevocable act.
Yes.
All right, Steve, thanks. An update now on the hearing to officially charge a man in a deadly fire in Green Valley Ranch has been once again postponed. Kevin Bowie was set to be arraigned this morning on murder charges related to the 2020 house fire. The hearing has now been pushed back another 2 weeks until May 3rd. At this point, it's unclear as to why today's was postponed, but Bowie's arraignment already has been delayed several times over the past few years.
50 remains closed between mile point 131 near the intersection of Colorado Highway 92 and mile point 148. This closure will create a significant detour for commuters between Montrose and Gunnison.
That's a big problem. Today, the State Department of Transportation gave an update on the bridge closure that's causing such a big, huge detour for so many people.
At this point, they have no idea when it might reopen or when they can even start to fix it. It's Highway 50 west of Gunnison now shut down. That's because of a crack found in a bridge over Blue Mesa Reservoir. That mainly affects people trying to get between Gunnison and Montrose. Well, CDOT officials say crews can't even get onto the bridge right now to finish further inspection because they say it isn't safe. The only people who are allowed through are people trying to reach their homes, but no one else. One woman says she's currently cut off from her 10-year-old daughter in Gunnison. When she asked what the plan is to help her get through, here's what officials told her.
We don't know how long it'll take, maybe to get some more local routes established and stabilized and opened up for the communities. So for now, it is the longer detour routes that are going to have to be used.
When he says longer, the detours currently in place require people to go up and around through I-70 or south to Highway 160 through Pagosa Springs. But in either instance, it's about a 6-hour-plus detour. For a look at those routes, you can head to 9news.com.
CU Boulder professors are joining an international movement to clean up our indoor air quality. The scientists want to set standards for CO2, carbon monoxide, and other particles that can lodge in the lungs and get into the bloodstream. The experts say this kind of pollution comes from wildfire smoke, when we cook, our building materials, and they're concerned about viruses. The way the EPA regulates outdoor air quality does not apply for indoor areas. In fact, the EPA does not have congressional authority to regulate indoor air. Our state health department says there are no broad state or federal regulations or standards for indoor air quality. It's harder to monitor because of how fragmented indoor air quality can be.
Now, if you have to clean the air, if you're breathing polluted air in a school or in an office, you don't have the ability to clean the air. They have to do something, the organizations, the government. So that's what makes it complicated, and that's why it has to become a law.
Professor Jimenez said he did see air filtration improve during the pandemic, but that's dropped off. He also says there are CO2 monitors you can buy for $100 to $150. Happening tonight, First Lady Dr. Jill Biden is coming to Colorado. She's set to arrive at DIA about 9 o'clock. The majority of her visit is scheduled for tomorrow at the CU Anschutz campus in Aurora. At noon, she's set to deliver remarks and join discussion about women's health research, part of an initiative at the White House. It remains one of the darkest days in our nation's history. 29 years ago today, a deadly attack on the federal building in Oklahoma City.
That was the explosion that killed 168 people, injuring hundreds more. Today, many gathered at the memorial that was built to honor the victims. Here's Jay Gray now with a closer look.
What happened? From the chaos of a violent attack and overwhelming loss.
Evil tried to tear us apart. Evil took the lives of 168 individuals and injured hundreds more.
To a silence, slowly giving way to painful memories.
My mother, Rona, Lynn, Keener, Chafee.
The attack on the Murrah Federal Building 29 years ago remains the deadliest act of homegrown terrorism in U.S. history. Timothy McVeigh parking a Ryder truck in front of the building, igniting metal drums inside filled with an explosive mix of fertilizer, diesel fuel, and other chemicals.
Those barrels were filled with hate, intolerance, ignorance, bigotry, conspiracy theories, misinformation, and dehumanization.
The deadly blast forever changed Oklahoma City and the entire country, but also revealed the unwavering strength of survivors who nearly 3 decades later continue to honor those lost.
Our collective resolve to never let this happen again is how we bear witness to the memory and the legacy of those who were killed.
My mother, Master Sergeant Victoria Vicky L. Son.
Jay Gray, NBC News.